Good morning, YouTube. Back on the drama dually again today. What seems like a never-ending project, but we're closing in on it. We're on the home stretch. A few little things to finish up. Need an alignment. It's got a little issue. We may have a problem with the motor. We'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the problems that's been bothering me, these graphics. Not these graphics particularly. These graphics are really cool. It's the lack of graphics here, and here that really bothers me. We're going to take care of this. As you remember, we replaced this tailgate because it was whoop-de-doo so bad that we couldn't even close it. Had to replace it. Now it needs some kind of cool graphics. And also, if you remember, this sheet metal, i.e. the bed, the doors, the front clip, all came off a crew cab, not this truck. So there's nothing in between. We need to connect the dots here. Needs a little something through here-ish. All this go in the middle. And like we said, this needs a little something through here because this obviously just doesn't line up. We had our friends at Southern Auto Color come out with their little computer camera to shoot this color. Now, this truck was factory white. Back up. The truck this metal came off of was factory white. But this burgundy, maroon, whatever you want to call it, was done at what I'm assuming was a dealership as kind of an option. It come out of North Carolina. It had a dealership name on it. I guess they did it there because there's no paint code for this. With the computer system from Southern Auto Color, they pulled up a code and it came up as, I don't know, something, whatever. It's close-ish, because also you got to think too, you know, she's getting a little thin. You know, we have a little bit of the patina Turner coming through here. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Up here, obviously lighter than down here, and way lighter than down here. We're gonna split the difference. We're gonna do some experiments on how to lay these lines, connect the dots, to spray it, to fotina it, if you will. I don't know, we're gonna kind of wing it and ding it. It isn't like that kind of car, so we're not gonna be too crazy with it. We're gonna try our best, see what we can do. First things first, we gotta lay some lines out. I'll kind of talk you through what I use, my theories and practices behind it, and you'll get a little time lapse of me laying out these goofy stripes, so stick around. For products, we're using the FBS brand fine line tape. If you're familiar, this is just plastic tape that's designed to do graphics and fine lines, you know, imagine that. Comes in a lot of different sizes. We have some 1/8, some 1/4, some 1/16, your basic common sizes that can be stacked to make whatever size we want. Luckily, it's pretty simple. They're 1/4 and these little guys are 1/8. Be pretty straightforward. And my favorite, what I call banana yellow 3M 3/4 to hold down the edges. Go back there, stay. Now we just connect the dots. All right, I kind of walk you through what we do here, at least my practice on doing this. You know, you have a straight-ish line here, straight-ish line here. So I'll start over on this panel and put a little bit of tension on the tape. And now how you pull your tension can actually curve the tape. But what I like to do is put a little straight tension and kind of match it up over to where the next line is going to be. You just throw the old dead eye on her. You just slightly, just ever so light pressure, push the tape down, because you can actually manipulate the line by which way your finger is pointed. So just very lightly push down and let it roll around the edge, and there you go. Now on the other truck, the line came from up here. This was a straight line and it went all the way down, and it looked a little funny because from this area, so it looked like this. Basically, we had like 3/8 inch of white all the way down, and I'm sure that was easier from the factory way to do it, or factory from the dealership. What I decided to do is change it up a little bit, curve it around to meet this top line here, and then strike a line just ever so slightly behind the edge of the cab. That way when you look at it from the side, you shouldn't see any white, and it gives a little more character here. Now, we laid these guys out. We got to get a little creative coming up through here, but it's just a matter of taking your time, and getting it exactly the way that you want it or the way you think it should be. You can see they do a little crisscross applesauce up there. We're just going to kind of figure it out. This stuff is stretchy. Be sure not to pull on it too much. It'll change the actual size of it. And we're just going to come and we're just going to kind of experiment. I'll pull me off a little extra here. Kind of experiment of what kind of curve it's going to take. See, like there, that didn't meet up very well, so we need to curve it a little sooner. Just kind of come back and pull it here. Yeah, something like that. So that tape line lines up, that tape line lines up. So we'll just let it loose, ease it around the back there so it looks straight. There, everything looks good. Now we just rinse and repeat. Every time you do it, the curve will end up being like a little sooner. And you'll see right here what I mean, because you have to turn it a little sooner to get there. A couple little pro tips. If you want this nice smooth radius, when you do it, you just have to keep your finger here pushing down, and at the same time just keep the radius moving. If you were to come in here and do like that, it's going to have sharp little edges and not be as smooth, especially when you start using the smaller tapes, the 1/8 inch and little tiny tapes. They tend to bend a little less forgivingly, if that's even a word. But just keep doing it. The great thing about this fine line is you can pull it off, try again, pull it off, try again. Just like you see me right there, I tried it 3 times till I was happy. It looks great. Like we said, check the tail, make sure that lines up as close as it can. Voila, roll it around the back. And we can do the last one. Just lots of rinse and repeat here. Obviously, one thing we didn't talk about is we cleaned all this off first, went across it with a good wax and grease remover, because this, could have anything on it that would interfere with the adhesion of the tape. So we cleaned all that off first. There we go, like that. Easy enough. Straight lines. Some more through here at the bottom. We'll be good to go. Now that we have all the lines laid out, we're going to go through and give them the little trim job. Since this was just used as a reference, we can just trim it on the edge right there. Take our little razor blade, kind of put it right around the corner. Just work our way down, trimming edges, rolling them around. Then, once we have everything trimmed and rolled, we can open the door, hoping that we didn't forget one. Easy now. Looks like that thing needs some doobie doobie. We have to create a line on the inside. Super simple. I can't do this with one hand, but we're just going to lay a line just right inside this edge with some fine line, tape it up with some 3/4. That'll be good to go. Everything back here we've already rolled around. Tape that up. We're getting close. As you may or may not remember, this is the old tailgate. Super simple design. Just nice radius at the top, some 90s, one little pinstripe in the middle. Super simple. But the question is, do we keep it like this? Or do we add some kind of like design, some little asymmetrical stuff? Let us know what you would do. I'm going to lay some lines out on the tailgate, see what it looks like, maybe play with it, maybe do this, maybe do something cool, maybe let Taylor influence me. I don't know. We'll see. Where are you going? Hey, get back here. Bring those creative juices. All right, we're laying out some lines here. We did the baseline, bottom line, whatever you want to call that, and the top perimeter, because I feel like it has to have those. And then now we're just playing with some shapes. Pretty asymmetrical. But what do you think?
Honest opinion?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Hey, I'd rather you be honest. What do you think it needs? Give us the give us the vision here.
Like we said, since this line goes out of the red, if that makes sense, then here it needs to come back into the red. So we know we need to have that part here. Right. But if we come up to the hood over here.
Yep, let's review the hood. Oh, not forget gotta get our caffeine. Let's say
not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
But you see right here where we have lines to come out of one single line into three.
Oh, they branch off,
so they branch off here, but this is the only spot that does it. So we're not gonna do that too often, but I think this is a good idea to replicate on the back.
Okay.
And also something I noticed is you can see how some lines go under and come back. Right. So maybe we can find a place to implement that. I don't quite know for sure. It happens over here.
I didn't even notice that because it's almost like a paneling effect.
Yeah. It happens here and here and here, which is kind of strange. Here too. So we'll take note of that. But also you can see over there where it branches out, but over here where it does not, where it's actually two lines. So just a couple things to, note.
So obviously, as asymmetrical as it gets, like Taylor pointed out, how much of the devil's dandruff was involved with this design?
I did say that. I did ask that earlier.
There's no telling. I'm sure this wasn't nearly as planned out as we're thinking, and we're probably way overcomplicating it.
100%.
All right, well, let's strike some tape and we'll see what it comes up with. Can't believe you don't like my lines. Look. It almost looks like a bad EKG or something, doesn't it? All right, well.
You gonna be mad when I pull this off?
No.
Okay.
As long as we don't run out of tape, I don't care.
We got one.
If not, I'll steal some of yours.
I thought this was mine.
No, this is mine, fool.
Okay. You ain't gonna make me reuse this part, are you?
We're in a recession.
You gonna make me reuse this?
Okay, fine.
You've seen my messes I make.
Hey, you just gonna take all my tape off?
No.
Don't take my dang perimeter out.
No, I ain't.
I know you're gonna have a hard time being as straight as that bottom line I ran there, but let me try.
That's pretty damn straight.
I told you.
How'd you do that?
Maybe a half blind old man, but I can strike a straight line. You don't know how much pinstripe I've laid in my day, brother. Vinyl stuff. I will put in a side note here, in case anyone's wondering why I'm getting Taylor's advice on this.
You better wipe that off first.
Oh, sorry, it's dusty. This is what he does.
Only sometimes.
This is his candy airbrush flake. Look at this line work. This is why I consult him. He's definitely got the creative juices around here. And you can purchase this or many more products at freakstudioslive.com/net.org.
Butchered that one. Shoot me a DM, how about that?
Yeah. He can hook you up with the flake.
Hey, thanks for the plug. Wasn't expecting that.
And there you go. Taylor laid down the lines. Looks really sweet, even though he thinks I don't think they're sweet, but he's just a perfectionist and that's what they do. Asymmetrical, be pretty cool. Just keep in mind, everywhere that you see green tape will be white, and everything inside the green tape will be maroon, burgundy, red, whatever you want to call it, if that makes sense. Trust me, this will look really cool because it'll favor the hood to an extent. We try not to make it too busy, just to give it some character. And why not? I mean, it's got character everywhere. You know, we have little whoop-de-doos and whatnot. Yeah, it'll look cool. Now, next step here, we have to make the paint stick. What are we going to use? 1500 grit 3M wet or dry sandpaper, old Gatorade bottle, hole pooched in the top of it, spray the water on, give it a scuff. Obviously I'm going to need both hands to make this perfect, but we're just going to be sure to take the edge of the sandpaper and push it right at the edge of the tape. And take your time with this. Just make sure you really go over the edge. That way you know the paint will stick all the way to the corners. Another thing I want to note, when you're taping this stuff up, I forget to mention, always make sure, so the tape is going to cover the white, right? So some people would have taped below this, and then your panel's going to be too small. Always tape on the outside, and whatever your green tape is covering will remain the color of the panel behind it. So if that makes any sense, I may have confused you, but yeah, do it like that. We tape the edge of it down with a 3/4 yellow. Obviously we'll mask that more. Same thing with this up here. Now do some scuffing here and all that scuffing back there. Then we're ready to put a little color on. All right, everything is scuffed. Cleaned it off with wax and grease remover again. But let me elaborate why I used 1500. The paint needs mechanical adhesion, but you don't want to go anything more than 1500 because this color, it's really hard to see, but it actually has a little bit of metallic in it. Anything more than 1500, that metallic is going to fall into those sand scratches and make it just look all cloudy and wavy and not good. Not good. And gray Scotch-Brite probably wouldn't have been enough, even though we are going to go back over it just to be sure all our edges. But a good rule of thumb is, see how it looks dull in the light? You can almost not see a reflection. That means you have enough, but you didn't go crazy and leave a bunch of scratches in it. Time to tape it up. We're going to use the old school hand-me-down tape machine. And if you've ever seen these things, you can buy them from Harbor Freight. You put the roll of paper on, the tape, and as you pull it out, it applies the tape for you. If you're a hobbyist, this probably isn't worth buying, but I have it. You can use newspaper, regular tape. I suggest using automotive grade because it's easier to come back off. It doesn't leave residue. Yeah, anyway, tape this up, put you on yet another time lapse, and let's get it a little one step closer to paint.
Slacker?
9% battery. Oversprayed my sunglasses.
You broke them and left them here. And 9% battery. Here's a fresh, brand new battery for you.
All right, for paint stuff, We're going with the shop line JAU single stage. And this is what it came up with, Hyundai code IM. It's what showed up on the camera, and so that's what we used. For hardener, just used a medium JH6680. Did we reduce this at all?
Yes.
A touch?
Yeah, just a touch.
All right, now don't be thrown off by the fact that it pulled up a Hyundai paint code. Like we talked about, they come over the camera, the Prophet reads the color. It pulls up what's closest. This is 30-something-year-old paint. Let me tell you, or actually better, let me just show you how well the stuff matches. Man, I hope you can grasp this on camera. Now remember, this is faded. This has been buffed and polished and gotten thin, so it's a little darker because we're gonna probably buff that just a little bit to bring it down. But when you get down here, I hope the camera can show you. It's dead on. It's perfect color. Ties all together now. Doesn't look like it was an afterthought or like we forgot something, but what I think is the coolest part, ta-da! Check out the lines on the tailgate. Looks sweet. You notice how he made like multiple panels coming out of that. He stacked the panels there. It's perfect. Very happy with the way that all turned out, and like I said, it ties it together so well. Got a few little finishing touches we're gonna do on the outside, then it's kind of sort of basically almost done. Obviously, still need to put emblems, put them on the other side, but a real quick rundown, real simple. Now these emblems are supposed to mount with little studs right here. As you can see, that one's broken and that one's sheared off almost level. Double-sided tape. That's going to be our solution for that. And the other truck was a camper special, this little TP. Well, it had two studs, one that had a nut and one was like an alignment dowel. I just ground those down, double-sided tape, you know, right on the side, just like that. Pretty neat. I like it. Adds a little touch, a little conversation piece. Emblem makes it look more complete. We're getting close. But the other emblems on this side, we put a little satin black on our windshield wiper blades. People, just spend an extra 3 minutes. A little Scotch-Brite, a little SEM trim black. Really dresses up the way these look. Not going to put them in just yet because we don't have the actual blades, because, you know, I forgot. Rain drip rails, they're going on. They also got a little satin black down here in the channel, as well as the hardware. Got a fresh satin black on those. And then, yeah, put a couple of those little pieces on. And, oh, I can't forget, we got to do the tailgate lights. But I'll show you all that in a second. There we go. Just like that. Drip rails are installed. Little pro tip. You probably can't even read it. 7/32 bolts, what these are. Only ones I've ever encountered on these trucks, or probably ever in my life. Makes it look a lot better, ties it together. Without it, I don't know, it almost, something just looks weird on these trucks without drip rails, to me at least. Maybe if it was a full custom, but not that. We got the emblems here. Went ahead and peeled the backing off of the double-sided tape. Sometimes you get lucky when these things break. They'll still have enough stud to use as somewhat of an alignment dowel. But this one, well, that one broke off smooth with the back of it. So, in cases like this, we'll just use the one side as an alignment dowel, and we'll kind of look at the straight line at the top of the 30 and gauge it by that. There we go. There we go. Yeah, this is 3M black. This was the half-inch wide. This is half-inch wide stuff. Works out real nice. Very, very strong. Cleaned it first with some alcohol. Put it on there. Boop. Yeah, it looked really bad without it because they taped around this when they did the stripes originally. Now, for our little camper guy. Bottom of it to the top of the bed-ish. Center front to back-ish. Level-ish. And you can kind of set this stuff up on here and it'll kind of just hang out while you eyeball it and make sure it looks good, I think. Yep, that looks great right there. Boom. All right, now we're back here on the tailgate for the rear tailgate lights. These are just some universal. I mean, they released for this truck and a couple other. Just normal old rectangles. You have the power coming in, this side grounds, and this is the bezel. The bezel, so there's where the ground hooks up, and it goes right over here to the screw that screws it in. Pretty simple. This snaps into this after you screw that on there. Real self-explanatory, I'll walk you through it. We went ahead and drilled the holes and ran the wires before we painted it. The reason being, it's nice to have paint around these holes. Well, this one, I mean, obviously those are get self-tappers, so that'll get knocked out, but having a little paint around that hole is a little nice. So I just ran the wire out, looped it around on top of itself like that. Boop, there we go. Now, we just do a little stripping, and I'm optioning to solder everything together here. You could butt connector it if you wanted to make maybe a little bit bigger hole. I don't know, just solder felt like the thing to do, so that's what I'm going to do. I never took the old tailgate apart, so I really don't know what the original connection was, but this one's going to be soldered. I love to use grommets on everything, just run-of-the-mill, nothing special. You don't want these suckers chafing and you have a light that doesn't work and you're chasing that issue down. We stuff the grommet in there, and you will notice that there's the two holes here, and this one. The center is offset, and you can see on the bezel, the ground's offset. Just make sure when you lay these out, when you're doing the pattern to drill everything, you keep everything in the same orientation. You don't want one here and then one flipped, because it may become an optical illusion or you get off on your measuring. Just keep it all the same. Kind of just, I don't know, it makes it easier, at least in my opinion. Strip that back, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Same on this guy. Once you get the grommet on, I like to slip the bezel over, because once you put this together, obviously you can't put the bezel on. Don't forget heat shrink. That'll go on top of there. There's a bunch of different ways to twist these, like twist them together. You can like open them up and put the frayed ends together. I don't know, this makes the most sense to me. So we twist them together like so, and we take our El Cheapo Harbor Freight soldering iron, which works pretty well, and our solder. And this is 0.8 millimeter, 1.8% flux. This stuff works really well. It's tiny, so for these smaller wires, it melts really, really quickly. I don't know, it's what I prefer. Once again, a bunch of different ways of doing it, and it's a little tricky today because the wind's blowing, so it's kind of keeping everything a little cooler, but I like to set the wires up on the iron like that, and then I like to touch the solder just below the wires on the iron itself, and that'll create a little pool, and you can just slowly fill the wire with solder. You don't have to get just absolutely crazy with it, just a little bit. And what you're doing is you're just welding or tying it all together. It doesn't take a bunch. Once that's soldered together, you're really supposed to wait a little longer than this, but we'll just slide that across. And a little torch, a little lighter, a little, well, whatever we can get to work. There we go. Give it a little heat. The little mini butane torches work really well. Yeah, I'm out of butane, so this is what we work with today. There we go. Got her all soldered up. Everything looks nice. Now we'll get our hardware, which luckily was included in the kit. These are, I guess you'd say panhead, flathead, I don't know. They're little self-drillers. You wouldn't really need pilot holes, but it just makes your life a little easier, because even though these are self-drillers, you can see they're not very pointed. when you run just a couple little 1/8 holes in it, it makes your life just a little bit easier. There we go. Just a little more shrinky on that. Perfect. And like we said, take your bezel, make sure you get your orientation correct. It'll go like that. Come here now. Easy does it. There we go. I like to get that started, but not tightened just yet. When you put this one in, be mindful of your little ground strap there. And then once you get it up kind of square, and make sure your ground strap is right behind the screw. Boom. Something like that. And you can take and feed your wire in. Then the lens itself, you can start on one side, clip it in, second side. Hi-ya! Boom. There you go. We got this one. Went ahead and did the rest. Now we go under the truck to make our little pigtail for the harness. When we ran the wires, we daisy chained all 5 lights together. One light soldered to the next one, soldered to the next one. That way you only have one wire coming out. It's a lot cleaner, a lot easier to maneuver. One little grommet, one little wire coming out. Underneath the truck, I found this plug that wasn't being used. It has it's probably hard to see, a black and a dark gray. And this dark gray gets 12-volt power when the light switches on. So this must have been what it was for, but the pigtail was gone on the truck, so I don't know. Whoop. That's what we're going to use it for now. As far as the connection itself, we're going to use weather packs. If you've seen these before, if you worked on any GM vehicle, they're great. They're weatherproof. They're a mechanical connection. They're easy to take on and off. Just love them. That's what we're going to use. One single wire, because if you remember, the other side of the light is grounded to the tailgate itself. Should be fine there. If you've never used one of these, I'll show you. It's pretty straightforward. You have a male and female connector here. Go together, something like that. And then within the connector itself, you have male and female, I don't know what we call these, spades. You know, they go together, something like that. And then your little weatherproof terminal deal. So, the way these go together, take your wire, and I go ahead and strip it back. I don't know why I do it that way, but that's what it gets. You slide your little weather pack situation down, something like that. And after you booger up your wires, it would make more sense to slide it on before the insulation is cut off, but here we are. Slide it up to the edge of the insulation, like so. On the first one, it doesn't matter which one of these you use. This is the male one. You slide it in. Hopefully you can see. There's these large tangs. That's going to hold the green weather connector. And then there's these little ones. That's going to hold the wire. So you set it in there like so. And this requires special pliers. These are IWise, part number IWS-14242B. And you can see they have different size. I don't know if you can see this, but 1820 gauge, 2422, 1614, and then 2 different seal sizes. So what I like to do is get these suckers in here, and I like to go ahead and just kind of start the crimp a little bit with the end. It seems to work a little better than when it's all splayed out. Yeah, it looks good. On this, we're using the 16 to 14 section. And when we put it together, you just squeeze it like that until it bottoms out. You can see right there, it makes a nice crimp. Maybe just a little tweak around. For the seal part, do the same thing. Kind of start it together a little bit like so. Spin it around. And the pliers They do all the work for you. There you go. You have the spade, whatever we're gonna call this. Have that put on first, then we can slide it into the connector. So where it gets tricky here, a little confusing. I'm sure everyone watching this channel knows how anatomy works. I would call this male. I would call this female because they slide together like that. But it's not what they're actually called. What you think would be a male is actually considered the female. And what you think is the female is considered a male. At least according to this kit. Because it goes off of which terminal you use. So we have the male terminal here, but we're going to put that into what I consider the female. Anyway, follow the instructions. It gets confusing. Male into the female, but from the backside. That'll go in like there. It just has like a little audible click. And then you just snapped it together like that. Boom. There's your connection. The other one I'm just going to go ahead and do is the same process, just with the female connector under the bottom. But it's really dark and it's going to be a pain in the butt to hold the camera. Put the other one in. Once it's together and snapped together like that, then the two connections, boom. Easy enough. If you ever have to take these apart, it's pretty simple. I have these little disconnect tools, and just go in there, you push it down over it, and it releases these little tangs right here, and you pull the wire back out. You can change the end, you can shorten it, you can do whatever you want to do. Obviously that'll be junk, you'll throw that away, but you reuse these connectors. It's a pretty cool little method. What I decided to use on this. Got everything hooked up. Now, the moment of truth. Don't mind the disconnected headlight switch. I did a little diagnostics to it the other day. As you can see, there's the cab lights. Front fender, rear. Yeah, baby, look at those. Man, that is so cool. Very, very happy with that look. Within another hour or so, it'll be just a little darker. We'll give you a shot of this thing all lit up. All right, been waiting on it to get a little darker outside, get the full effect. Got all the lights working on this thing. All the paint touched up, blended together. Check this out. Shoo-wee. Shoo-wee. Doesn't get much cooler than this. Oh yeah, the LED cab lights are cab lighting. The paint's all blended. Man. Oh. Yeah, buddy. Check that out. Man, I don't know. What do you think? Do we put the little finish panel back in that? The one that was on the truck was whooped. There's not a straight square inch on it. I had another one that's a little better, but they're kind of expensive. They're $300-ish for a new one. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should we put a tail panel on this? I don't know. It looks good without it. It doesn't matter. It looks good with it, without it. Man. So this is more or less the final form. Pretty stinking sweet. Still got some more work to do. I finally figured out we had ended up being the headlight switch was bad and there was a bad connection going into the plug. Got that figured out so we can put the dash back in it. Got to take it to the alignment shop. I got to drill 2 holes for the bed bolts. I drilled the top of the rail, but I didn't drill the bottom of the rail. Rookie move. Pretty simple. That, hook up the e-brake cable, and it's got a little noise coming from the motor. I'm gonna go and get my buddy Chris Baltus over here. He knows, I mean, he's an engine machinist. He knows small blocks inside and out. I'm gonna get him to double check what I think I set the valves right. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I'm gonna get him to check that out. But other than that, it's pretty much done, I think. Ready to go cruising. We're gonna try to take it out. I think the maiden voyage is probably gonna be C10s in the City, June 26th or 8th. Don't quote me, go check it out. C10s in the City, it's a pretty cool show. Might as well bring this big girl out. Yeah, Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I hope y'all are half as hyped as I am, because I haven't finished a build in a while and it feels really good. Even though I should have finished the K5 first. But whatever. It is what it is. It's done now, or done-ish. Pretty close. You know what I mean. Thanks for sticking in. Like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. We'll see you next time.